Hi, so this is our ERP solution for Sainsbury's. My name's Khalifa.
My name is Chris.
I'm Khadija.
I'm Daniel. And I'll talk on the background of the organization called Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's was established in 1869 and also incorporated in 1922. And it became the largest retailer of groceries in the UK and also the second largest chain of supermarkets in UK. Also, Sainsbury's owns a share of 16% of the supermarket sector in the UK. Yeah. Then Sainsbury's has a lot of competitors, which are Asda, Tesco, Morrisons, Aldi, and Lidl. Then subsidiaries. Sainsbury's grew up to an extent that it had a lot of subsidiaries, which will be included, which will be listed also, and which are Sainsbury's Supermarkets, Sainsbury's Bank, Sainsbury's Argos. Now the next slide, which talks about the issues with the current business processes. We're going to talk about the inventory inaccuracy. Now the inventory inaccuracy has caused a lot of harm in the business, which had made them to have wrong records or inaccurate records of stocks. Now, which also they made use of the wrong software that was not integrated into manufacturing and sales. Now, we also talk about organizational scalability issues, growth. Now, for a while, they've not grown for a long time till 2014 or 2014, which they had to think about redesigning the company, which helped them grow as they are now. Lack of ideas that brings a difference. They lacked ideas, which then they also supposed to bring difference to the company. Maintaining separate systems. Now, the use of different software makes it hard for the company to maintain and update. Yeah, using different softwares makes it difficult for the companies to maintain and update. Now, all systems increase the chances of contradicting data. Now, when you tend to use different softwares, it brings contradiction, which you can't correlate, you can't bring together, or you can't integrate one particular thing. You have to make use of one to put different data in different softwares, and that's quite different. They're quite wrong. Now, it's also expensive to maintain all softwares because you need to pay for one each. You need to pay for them to be maintained. Now, low customer retention, ability to react faster to customers' needs. Yeah, if you can't react faster to customers' needs, then you lose customers, right? Then ability to make timely and accurate decision. When you tend to you can't make an accurate decision, you tend to lose your customers. Then to render fast service need by customers. Yeah, services. The customers need your services. If you can't render your services fast, you will lose your customers. Thank you.
Okay, so enterprise systems. I'll give you a quick overview of what enterprise systems are. So it's a large complex computing system that handles large volumes of data. It enables organisations to integrate and coordinate their business processes, and it's usually a single system central to the organisation that ensures that the information can be shared across all functional levels and management. So there's different types of enterprise systems. These include supply chain management, customer relationship management, and enterprise resource planning. So first, I'll be looking at supply chain management. So this manages the entire production flow of goods or services, beginning from the raw components through to delivering the final product to the consumer. So first, you'll be looking at sourcing, so that looks at materials and components. Manufacturing, so production management, finished goods quality assurance, and then shipping and receiving, so in-house and warehouses. and then looking at distribution, so order management, inventory management, picking and packing, and fulfillment to customers. And also reverse logistics, so that looks at returns and repairs. So as it is a retail company, when it does come to retail, there are times when people do want to return things, so ensuring that there's a process in place that accommodates for that is extremely important. So a few advantages and disadvantages of supply chain management. So identifying potential problems, it's able to easily do that using the system. And another disadvantage is a benefit of investment. So it's sometimes difficult to measure how the actual impact of whether it's a good system or whether it's not. So the next one is customer relationship management. So this looks at the technology used to enable a business to deepen their relationships with customers, service users, colleagues, partners and suppliers by digitalising processes and automating tasks. So here are just a few of the advantages and disadvantages. So advantages looks at contact management, sales management, productivity, improves integration and cross collaboration. So it allows every person within the organisation to collaborate. It's an easy tool to be able to see basically how customers are interacting with the company. A few of the disadvantages, so staff resistance. Not a lot of people want change, and when it does come to change, a lot of the time organisations don't really like implementing new systems, so sometimes staff can not want to basically put that one in place. Record loss and security issues. So finally we looked at enterprise resource planning, ERP. So this is a software that organisations use to manage day-to-day business activities such as sales, accounting, project management, etc. It enables business processes to be connected end-to-end and helping with the flow of data between them. So some of the top must-haves when selecting the ERP, especially when it comes to retail, looking at the retail workflow automation, so how quick is it able to automate and flow from one process to another, multi-location and real-time inventory management, integration warehouse management, integrated retail CRM, so that looks at customer relationship management also, and returns management as I spoke about earlier. So when it comes to retail, there's times when customers want to return items, etc. A few advantages, so it improves business insights, it lowers operational costs and it enhances collaboration. So here we looked at different types of ERPs. So we decided to go with the ERP out of the enterprise systems. So SAP ERP streamlines business processes including procurement, manufacturing, sales, finance and HR. There's also a few more. A few of the benefits is that it's on-premises deployment, core process integration and automation, real-time information and single source of truth, and easy conversion to SAP. We also looked at Oracle ERP, so this is a cloud-based solution that enables organisations to automate their business processes and day-to-day activities. Includes business management suites such as accounting, supply chain management, project management and more. So a few of the benefits is it providing cloud technology, ability to implement new functionality, faster and more reliable. Reporting is more manageable also, ability to customise reporting using enhanced functionalities, and cost is considerably less than the SAP ERP. It also uses SaaS, so software as a service, which is a business model for delivering software from a server to a client using the cloud. Okay, so with this section, we tried to compare the different ERPs. So we looked at SAP and Oracle. The two are very powerful tools and do have very great functionality. However, due to Oracle ERP having more advanced features and also it being cheaper than the SAP ERP, we did go for the Oracle ERP over SAP. Okay, so after we decided that we was going to go with the Oracle ERP, we then decided on what software we were going to use. So we decided Oracle NetSuite ERP, which is the world's first cloud ERP software, providing a single unified platform in the cloud to streamline all back office processes, including customer relationship management, e-commerce and accounting. So it provides 7 different languages. The desktop platforms include Windows and web app. It has mobile platforms such as iOS and Android, and yes.
So in this section we'll be looking at Sainsbury's transition plan from the old traditional system to the newer version, which will adapt an enterprise system. I've broken the plan down into 8 different phases, starting with business evaluation. Business evaluation is basically understanding the business process at the moment, what the business currently does. Sainsbury's will then identify what works for them and what doesn't work for them. They'll also make any necessary notes of any questions or observation which will be necessary later down the line. From understanding their business and analysing their business position, they can identify any issues, and Daniel had identified these issues earlier on. And from identifying the issues, they can then set objectives and goals in which the enterprise system should achieve. They should have established criteria, defined requirements, and what Sainsbury's expects from the system. They should draft out what kind of budget they're going to have, what kind of features they expect, and what functional areas the enterprise system should cover. And even if the system helps the business, helps them achieve their overall goals and objectives. From there, they can look into different types of enterprise systems, which Khalifa discussed, and check in each system against the business criteria. And this is where they will discuss each system with the relevant people, such as the team, key stakeholders, and decision makers. Once they have analysed each system, Sainsbury's will then pick the most suited system, which is the ERP Oracle, which will ensure best practices. After that, it's important to train all the staff who will be making use of this system, making sure there's different kinds of training available to the staff, and making sure everyone understands how the user interface will work. During this time, there will also need to be some form of micromanagement, change management, to ensure all the staff understand how a new system can affect their job role and ensuring staff morale. The 7th stage is implementation. This is basically the deployment of the enterprise system, the deployment of the ERP system, and this is where Sainsbury's will decide how much historical data will be needed to migrate from the old traditional system to the new Oracle system. And at this stage, they can consult with external advisors, making sure that they're making use of the ERP system to its maximum capabilities. And the last and final stage is maintenance, which is ongoing, making sure that the ERP system is readily available for scaling up at any time, making sure that training is always readily available for staff who might need extra help or new employees, and making sure that there's a contingency plan just in case the system fails. Data migration is quite important at this stage because Sainsbury's is quite large and it will have a lot of data which will need to be transferred over to a new system, and can be done through cloud, and a cloud that we picked was Amazon Web Services, which is quite flexible and you pay for the amount that you use. And the process that it will use is basically extracting the old data, transforming it, and then loading it into the new system. And then to ensure that the ERP actually helps the business, you can check it against the established criteria, which was created at the start, against a checklist. So checking if the system helped achieve its goals. Has the system made the employers any more productive? Has it improved customer satisfaction? Has it given Sainsbury's a strategic advantage over its competitors? Has it improved its relationship with its stakeholders?
Okay. In my part, I'm going to be explaining what implementation risks and how to mitigate them. And we think that the biggest threat for the implementation are failure in redesigning. So the desired scenario would be the ERP try to adapt to the business process, but realistically speaking, it is more of the business process try to adapt to the ERP system. So there will be a lot of re-engineering. And then the second one is lack of management support. It happens when senior manager try to avoid getting trained for the new system. The next one is insufficient training and reskilling of end users, is where the company do not expect to invest such highly in training their employees, because it's already expensive in transitioning to a new system. And the next one is lack ability to recruit and retrain qualified system and developers. So the existence of in-house developers or ERP consultant is actually pretty crucial, and in a way for a company to get them is quite costly and quite hard, because they are really in high demand right now in the market. And the next one is unable to obtain full-time commitment from employees. So like what my colleagues have said, human nature are hard to be changed, and they need the employee needs to be informed what they are going to get after the implementation are finished. The next one is lack of integration. So the complexity of the integration process is really high, because there are a lot of departments that exist in the business, like for example supply chain management and marketing and HR, things like that. And the complexity of it can leads to the implementation failure. The next one is lack of change management, where the project manager office tend to not prepared enough to handle the situation. And the next one is poor technology planning, where they did not expect how the technology would change over the future. The next one is less than awesome project management, where the size of the project itself are dependent on the size of the business itself, therefore the complexity also. The next one is this is an example of Lidl, where they failed their integration process, which is the biggest transformation in their history, where they are mostly failed because of their mentality, which are resistant to change. And there's also some movement in the senior management when the implementation happens, so they'll need to start from zero again. And then the lack of communication between the IT department and the guys who actually work in the department, like HR or marketing. So we think that the best strategy to mitigate them is first to understand the business strategy objectives. The project manager officers should be able to break down all of the requirements in front of the stakeholders. It is important for them to understand. And then the next one is set realistic expectations. So usually ERP vendors doesn't really understand how is the realistic requirement. And in this scenario, the independent consultant or ERP independent consultant is play an important role to make sure everything goes smooth. Employees preparation for change is where so that the employee knows what they are getting after the implementation, what benefits that they can take after it. And then the data migration planning is where the business need to prepare to migrate the traditional data to the new system right after they choose the new software that they are going to implement. The business process optimization is where they can find new competitive advantage to win the market after the implementation strategy, because these systems should be expected to fix the issues that already been mentioned by my colleague. And the next one is software customization limitation, where they need to limit the adaptation that they can get from the system. Okay, so in this slide I'm trying to emphasize how important a project manager is and what's the necessary skills that they need to have in order to be able to conduct the implementation successfully. First of all, there is flexibility, discipline, quick learner, and they should be a good decision maker and also have experience in ERP, and influential in their organization, well liked, and a good motivator. Therefore, they'll be able to ensure the project runs well in a timely and efficient manner toward the stakeholders, and then they be able to identify, monitor critical success factor of an implementation, and then address daily project priorities to keep the phase of the project, and ensuring up-to-date info on project status to the management, so they'll be informed well enough. And that's our presentation for the Sainsbury implementation of the ERP, and thank you.